Testing.
On. Mic check.
Testing, testing.
Okay. And then you push it and hold.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 5:06. I would like to call this meeting to order. First off, we have Dallas. He will be doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so you want to talk about student of the month already? Oh, so this Tuesday on the 14th, we had a board member of the month, and I had lunch with the students of the month, and it was Dallas and Mr. Travis. Dallas is from the blind school, and Travis is from the deaf school. Travis is a football player, and Mr. Dallas, he says that he wants to go to, I think, UA Little Rock, I believe, and he thinking about doing broadcasting, but said he didn't want to do that all the time. He said it's cool, but not all the time. So we sat down and we had lunch, and it was really great. Thank y'all for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming. Travis Scruggs wasn't able to join us. He is on the football field and in very sweaty pads, he told me, so he did not want to come and be here like that. So, but Dallas, if you're not unfamiliar, has done some really awesome work with University of Arkansas Little Rock and the Travelers as well. He's broadcasted for baseball games a couple of different times, and so we look forward to some new opportunities like that for him as well this year.
Hey, I saw a video this last weekend of Dallas getting to do some tackle drills on the football field, tackling some dummies.
Oh,
He looked like he had a great time. That's a big smile, Dallas.
that's awesome.
So next we have the reminder for the next meeting, which will be September the 15th, 2026. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. Next, we will move on to the consent items. First, I need approval of the minutes, financial statement, and personnel items.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the financial report and personnel items and the minutes of last month's meeting as submitted to the board.
I second that motion.
We have 2 seconds. All in favor? Is there anyone against it? Is there anyone abstaining? If not, we will accept the board's, the minutes, financial statements, and personnel items. Next, we have action items.
So this action item, as it was presented for assurances, is our AR app. It is submitted, sorry, I turned my microphone off. The AR app is submitted to the Department of Education annually. It is updated. It took 17 forms, I'm told. I did not experience the 17 forms in IndiStar. But it took 17 forms and made them into one awesome form that we get to fill out. It includes everything from dyslexia interventions and grant proposals to high-impact tutoring plans, reading plans, and really encompasses, it's our strategic plan for our school. What are we going to do to move ourselves forward in the next year and then ongoing? That has been submitted and has been returned to us for revisions. We have revised the few things that were asked to be revised. I think there were 2 typos and 1 question, and so we were able to resolve those very quickly. So kudos to our leadership team for getting that done in a very timely manner and with very little revision, and it has been resubmitted for finalization. So if I could just get approval to sign those assurances and get that sent, that's the last step for the final approval.
All right. Next, we have discussion items.
Oh, we need to vote for
sorry.
the action item.
We need to vote for the action item.
Please.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
This isn't late, is it? I see due date is June 30th.
Yes, so that's the submission, the original submission date. Then it
Okay.
comes back for revisions, and then the final
That's
date is September the 1st. Great question. Thank you for asking.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the signature of the insurance policy.
Second.
All right, it has been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Is there anyone abstaining? Then the action item has been approved.
Perfect. Moving to discussion items, before we get too far along, I'd like to welcome Secretary Oliva and Courtney Salas Ford, his Chief of Staff. We have a couple new staff members that I think you'd like to introduce, and we're so grateful for you being here. Thank you so much for joining us for the beginning of our school year. This is my year 3, I can't believe that, and I'm looking forward to this being our shift year, from everything being kind of fires and putting out things and making quick moves to really planning for the future and moving in a meaningful way and having more board participation from that. So thank you so much. I'm excited for our new partnership, our new partners.
Thank you, Nicole. Jacob Oliva, Secretary of Education, and wanted to come and check in with the board. It's been probably a few months since I've been here, and I know there's a lot going on. And it's, as Nicole said, it's the start of a new school year. So I know for me personally, I think this is the most exciting time of the school year when students have been off for the summer. There's just an excitement and buzz to get our young little scholars back in our hallways, and teachers work really hard to prepare and get our schools and classrooms right. And across the state, I think we're at 100% now with all of our schools back. So we have about 1,040 schools and over 40,000 classrooms, and they're all filled with Arkansas students. And I think we're kicking off to what's going to be a great year. I do want to introduce some folks and then maybe just kind of give a little update on some stuff that we're working on as a state. Nicole introduced or mentioned Courtney Salas Ford. She's our Chief of Staff and works very closely with Nicole here at the School of Deaf and Blind, and kind of any other topics that arise, whether it's with helping with personnel or budget and finances and support. She's really one of our agency's main contacts on a daily basis. So I always want to make sure the board knows who she is and feels comfortable reaching out to her. She's a valuable member of our team, and anybody in the community can reach out to her or myself as well. We want to be fully open and transparent and able to support the school to the best of our abilities. But we do have 2 new faces that I think we're meeting for the first time that are also going to be assigned to help directly support the work of this board and support the school as well. And so Allison Tate, we call her Allie, I hope that's okay. She works in our office for me, and she's kind of in charge of working as a board liaison and commission. And then I like to use this term called all other duties as assigned, or some people might call it special projects. So she gets a little bit of everything, but she helps us coordinate, and will help coordinate with Nicole and maybe Tiffany or some of the other folks, all the logistics of this board. But she also helps us with our library board and our state board and our Martin Luther King Jr. Commission, and a bunch of other stuff that we were involved with. And then Caitlin Cochran, I don't know what her official title is going to be. She's an attorney. Congratulations. I don't know if that's a promotion or not. We may have just promoted Caitlin. Congratulations. But she's an attorney. She's been working in our office for quite a few months, maybe almost a year now. A year in November, she's joined the team and has been a valuable member, helping us work on a lot of the issues and opportunities that we have in the state. But she's going to be specifically assigned, I think, to be the direct support and liaison for our agency for anything that may come up that has a legal question, or sometimes with boards there's questions around Robert's rules or procedures and motions and some of that intent. So Caitlin is going to be our expert, and you're going to see her here at all the meetings. So I don't know if y'all want to say anything, or this is your chance.
Hi, I'm Allie Tate. It's very nice to meet you guys. Like the Secretary said, I am the Boards and Commissions Liaison for ADE. I will be your direct line to ADE leadership. Any issues that you come across, I work with Nicole. I'm going to be working with you guys directly as well. I'm here to help you. So anything you need, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to give you my email and my cell phone number, and we will work together to make this board even better.
Hi, Caitlin Cochran. Like Allie said, I'm excited to be here and ready to learn lots and make new friends. You can also have my email and my cell phone number if you need anything. I'm happy to be here.
So we'll be sure to share all of our contact information so that you have it. Lots of wonderful news happening around education in the state of Arkansas. I don't know if anybody's been following along, but we've worked some big educational priorities or some really big educational policies over the past few sessions. One of them being called Arkansas Learns, the other one called Arkansas Access, and it's really been our blueprint for how we want to improve learning as a state. And it really touches everything from early learning to K-12, current technical education, parental empowerment, post-secondary and beyond. So we've been working on building out this system in Arkansas to help improve opportunities for students and overall achievement and performance. And this was year 3 of building and implementing the system. We started in 2023, and we look at how our students are doing in 2026, 3 years later, under a complete overhaul and design. It's really exciting to see that 3 years after the system's being implemented, we have more students reading at or above grade level, same within math and science, than we have ever before. And when we look at overall student performance as a state, we had what the experts would say is statistically significant increases. So to put it in perspective, last year, when we looked at, like, say, overall English language arts score, the state went up about 0.08%. And we were like, wow, you know, more students are learning. And every percentage point's like 350 students. So when you're looking at hundreds of students are now performing at above grade level, that's something to celebrate. And in the previous year, we went up about 1.5% in math and maybe about the same in science. Well, this past school year, same assessment, same opportunities, making sure we're supporting teachers, making sure we're supporting students, building out the system. We had about a 6.5% increase in ELA, over a 7% increase in math, and over an 8% increase in science. That doesn't happen by accident. And what I always like to remind everybody is we have built an incredible system. And what we've done is we've provided clarity and alignment. And I always like to say bad systems beat good people every single time. And unfortunately, we didn't have a really good system where teachers knew what they were supposed to teach and students were measured whether or not they were learning what we want to learn. Well, now we have a system that can do that. And when you look at overall achievement, it was about a 20% increase in achievement as a state for all of our subjects last year. And I always like to tell people, we didn't hire 35,000 new teachers, right? We were able to take the talent that's working in our schools and leading our schools and working hard every day and give them the right support and tools they need to be successful. And because we're able to do that, we're seeing monumental gains. Well, we also want to make sure that's happening here. So this is a big year, I think, for the School of Deaf and Blind, because when we were tasked to develop a blueprint to provide more opportunities for students to excel and perform at or above grade level, when we said all students, we mean all. And that is something that's really important to us at our agency, and I think to this board, and especially to the community watching, that students in this learning environment deserve the best opportunity as well. And as we were kind of going down even through the past few years looking at this blueprint to implement and improve the state, there was one thing that was really clear, is that this school had probably been neglected for far too long. And when we looked at the conditions of the facilities and the master plan and even the curriculum that we were using and just making sure that the teachers here had those right resources that every other teacher deserves, I think we were a little bit behind. So we started going down a journey to build a path. And I know we've had some legislation to look at kind of unifying and coordinating some of the administrative oversight and costs and burdens to the schools so that we can put more dollars into classrooms, because that's where your budget starts. And I always like to say your budget is a value statement. Where you start budgeting is what you value, and it needs to start in classrooms. So Nicole kind of alluded that this is like a big year, I think, for this campus. Well, this is a big year, and we want to be there alongside you and support you, because yeah, we're going to build state-of-the-art facilities, but those facilities are only as good as the talent we put in them and the opportunities for the students. So that's one big piece of the puzzle that we want to get right. And as we're going through, we need to hear from the board. Nicole needs to hear from the board. Nicole and I have talked a lot about trying to get the board more involved in some of these decisions and sharing the information so that we're together and unified, because I'll always be honest and transparent. I don't know everything, and I'm not the expert on everything. Our team isn't going to be expert. One person, one board member is not going to be expert, but collectively, whatever challenge we see or face, I think together we can come up with a unified plan to support and implement. And so as we go into the school year, I know I'm excited. This past year, when we look at some of the historic gains in overall achievement, it's not even just showing up on state achievements, but even just in national rankings. For the last 20 years, Arkansas education has been ranked between 45th and 50th nationally, period. So I get questions a lot about, like, why are you changing everything so much so fast? Because our students deserve better. And if we don't act with urgency, then we're failing another generation of students. Well, those same metrics that have been ranking Arkansas between 45 and 50th for the last few decades just came out with their latest measurements about a month or so ago. And while we have not arrived, I think we're excited to say that on both U.S. News and World Reports, and I want to say CNBC's like best states for growth or something like that reports, national reports, same education, we're ranked 36 on both of them. That's a big deal for this state. We're not in the 40s, right? Like, I know this is tough work, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's paying off, and it's paying off for our students who deserve excellence. So the other opportunities I think we have is, yeah, this is a big year. It's a big transition. There's a lot of things we want to get right. But also, sometimes, even though sometimes we have the best intents to get the right legislation and rules put in place, sometimes they're not perfect, right? Like, I will tell you that LEARNS isn't perfect. Access isn't perfect, but it was a starting point. So we're always looking to improve. We started our legislative session in January. Is that a good... January 11th, she has it down to the date. I always just say sometime next year, you know, in 27. But if there's things that we see or the community sees, like, that says, hey, you know, there's some things that are holding us back, or there's some unintended obstacles or some barriers, like, this doesn't make sense. This is handcuffing us from helping kids. We got a small window that we need to hear from you pretty quickly so that we can put pen to paper, because it's already August. And before we know it, by the time you get through Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's January. So I just wanted to come in today and tell you how much I appreciate your sacrifice and commitment and diligence to this board. I think we have a lot to celebrate as a state. We still have a lot of work to do, but we need to make sure we're hearing from you and that we're doing it right and we're doing it together, because there's a lot of decisions that are going to be made. And I've been talking with Nicole, and she'll tell you, we need your input, and we need you to be involved. That's the role of this board. And if we need to schedule more workshops, if you need me to come and explain things, if you need any one of our team to help provide that input, this isn't to be done in isolation. And we need to hear from the stakeholders. We need to hear from the people in the audience. We need to hear from parents. We need to hear from students. We're going to be making a lot of decisions that are going to have, I think, some legacy lasting impacts for how we support deaf and blind students across the state, not only in this school, but for those families that are being supported out in their communities. We've got, all means all, and we've got to support them all. So I just wanted to introduce and just check in with you, and happy to answer any questions. And I tell Nicole too, because I know you're under construction, but then sometimes I don't realize what does it mean when you're under construction, right? But if you ever want to host a meeting at our agency, it's probably a little more conducive, because I think we're set up probably a little better to live stream and create more of a dais. We can set those up anytime as well.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Board, would we be interested in maybe hosting our meeting next month at
You don't have
Fort
to.
Capel Mall? Yeah, or maybe we can talk about it and think and decide from there.
Secretary, I wanted to ask you, you remember when you and I met with the governor and legislators when we first talked about merging, one of the big critical things that the governor also wanted was hubs around the state. And I hadn't heard anything about that in a long time, and I was wondering what your thoughts are about creating these hubs for deaf and blind students who do want to stay in public school, and that we still provide educational services for them?
Yeah. So I think that's a great question, and that is definitely part of the mission. And I don't think we've arrived. And I have those same questions. Where are we with these hubs? Where are these with these students? I haven't pulled the data in a while, but I want to say it's still around like 2,000 students that qualify for deaf and blind services that are out in their communities, whether it's through their local school district or co-op or private provider, however they're being supported. We need to make sure they have access to quality as well. And some of them may be getting it. I think that's part of the question, is to get a survey and a needs assessment done, and like a good landscape map of where are most of our students being served and how are they being served, and is there a way for this school to be a better support of that service? So that conversation needs to keep happening.
I have a suggestion. Normally, we get quality individuals from universities. Recently, at the University of Arkansas Little Rock, they've decided to cut programs, especially those that facilitate education for deafness and blindness. And with that being said, is there a way that we could talk about providing some funding or to work with UA Little Rock to keep those programs, specifically for blindness, is the TBI and O&M program, which O&M is important for individuals to feel independent when they go to college and when they're on school campuses, to be able to get around. And for deafness, we have a deaf education program where we used to educate individuals who wanted to teach deafness, teach at the deaf school, but it's on the books and nobody's in it, and they're not talking about bringing them back.
Is that like
Actually, they couldn't program.
like a teacher prep
Yes,
program?
so that individuals who want to teach at the deaf school be able to, it's like TBI, same as TBI, but it's in the field of deafness. Recently, we've had underfunding in those programs.
I think these are great suggestions, and that's why I said this is a great time to kind of whiteboard or write up some of these, even if it's like a formal proposal from this board, right? Like that you all vote and feel like this is something that we should take as a legislative priority. Because, and you're making me think, right? You're asking me good questions, because we've done a lot. Like, so let's talk about the teacher part first. We know the reality tells us, the research tells us the biggest indicator of student performance is the teacher standing in front of the classroom. And the more we can invest in teachers and in classrooms, the better we can create opportunities for students. So we definitely, even in the last 3 years, going this year, hear a lot, especially in small and rural areas. And this, even though we may not be geographically a smaller and rural area, but maybe the type of teacher we're trying to attract would fit into that bucket, right? I think that's kind of a fair lens to look at. Writing, recruiting, retention, and recognition plans for teachers, there's a real challenge. I mean, we have school districts in the state where there's only one high school in the entire community, in the entire school district, that does not have one certified teacher in the high school, because nobody in the community is certified to teach everything, and these students have to take all their courses online, and they're proctored by a parapro. So that's a reality that's hard to admit, and I think that's probably a reality here. But one of the things that the governor was able to do with Arkansas Learns was to raise teacher salaries, and I know here it's a little bit nuanced because they're considered state employees, and this is where I think there's legislative opportunities, because some of the way we do contracts, it just doesn't make sense. Welcome to government, right? Like, it's not perfect, but we got to try to figure this out. Like I said, I don't know all the answers. We need to identify the issues. But there are some opportunities for like teacher apprenticeships and teacher loan forgiveness programs, and there's some pots of money. My wonder is if we follow back up with our folks, especially if there's a university that's willing to do like a deaf education degree program. I think I don't know if there's any in the state that have that, but we may be able to put some set aside funding for candidates that want to go in there to help pay for their tuition. Like, I feel like we should be able to do that under some of the purview we have, because maybe that would entice some folks that were thinking about going into this industry to actually do it.
So I know one thing that has always been discussed, and it's been hit on a little bit more recently, is that it's always been said that in the within their first 3 years of being employed by this school, they either need to have their DEF Ed degree or their TBI. And so we're setting them up for failure by saying, but you got to go out of state or do it all online.
Is that a state rule or law, or?
No, it was a rule that was put in previously and an expectation, but it is something that we are holding true to. We have staff here who are under ALPs to get their deaf education and blind education now that they can take the test. So we are doing in-house preparation for those assessments.
Yeah. Can I talk about the other question you had real quick? So I don't forget, because you had talked about the blind services and some of the grants that got cut. Programs that got cut, university programs. I think like just kind of follow questions is maybe some, because like I literally met with the university systems president this morning, so it's like, man, this is like a few hours late. I could have asked him, like he was literally in our office this morning, but we have more meetings, so that's okay. Was that like I guess I just need no more information. Was it like a university decision, or was it a state allocation?
Yes, sir, that was a university decision. Yeah, and the reason they said was because it was low graduation rates, but it was not low graduation rates.
Because it was a degree program?
It was voted on by the faculty and the faculty senate not to get rid of the program. 99% voted not to get rid of the program. University continued with it, and they're really supposed to follow what the faculty senate says, but they didn't. And so I wanted to give you an overview of how destitute blindness is in this state. And like you said, it's about 1,900 students who qualify for services. We have 27 O&Ms, and most of them are housed at the Arkansas School for the Blind. So if you broke them down into caseloads, you see how many people would be on one person's caseload. If we talk about TBIs and O&Ms, it's 27, most of them housed here. And so if you broke down 1,900 people, children, you could see how many people would be on the caseload. Now, if we add adults into that mix, it's even more. And so when we talk about, when we think about having quality services for individuals who are deaf and blind, I think that it starts with universities investing back into these programs that will bring these individuals into the state who may want to stay. I'm from out of state, so I stayed. I love this state. I like helping people. I've been helping people my whole life.
So I feel like, because like I wish I could wave my magic wand and make that decision, right? Like that's definitely way out of my purview. But I do think in this, I'm not saying you need to do this now or today, and Nicole can schedule a workshop. Like you may just want to have like a separate workshop around what we think should be legislative priorities. So let's say, like, I'm making up a number. It was $1 million budget item that got cut. Like, you could put as a board that you're in favor of restoring a $1 million line item to provide these services at the University of Arkansas Little Rock, because we can share that, right? But if I don't know that, it's hard for me to share, because our season is picking up, where we're going to be meeting with staff and legislators, and we want to share what the constituents want to see. And if you can package it, it helps us a whole lot more, if that makes sense, because I don't know all the nit and gritty, but if you can give me the overview and the right people to connect with. Courtney, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Well, yeah, and I think, again, that is part of where Allie and Caitlin will kind of come in that they're going to be attending the meetings. They are your go-to. They're your communication. They can help discern what is a legislative decision or a legislative recommendation, what is a university decision that we may not have any authority over, but that's a conversation that at least the secretary can have, or the commissioner of a higher education can have. You know, Nicole and I meet at least twice a month, and so these three people are the best way to get those types of issues to me and to the secretary, so that we can help get those to the right place. And so again, same thing. We may not can fix everything, but we at least can generally figure out where maybe that needs to go. Is it something that we do have authority over, or if we don't?
So what do you?
Yeah, like even with ESVI, they educational services for the visually impaired, they service the state. They received cuts in their funding, and now they're down to 4 people for a whole state.
Yeah,
we
whereas,
can't call
and
that
that's
quality.
a direct grant under us, so that is something we can look into, and I can ask
Yeah.
about why,
And,
you know, why those
use,
decisions were made.
use numbers, use data,
Yeah.
right? Like when you say we have 1,900 students that need to be served and the caseloads are 1 in 600, like what is the recommendation? What is the state average? What would it cost? Like if you can get that to us. 'Cause-
Yeah, I can.
and when I tell you our seasons, I mean, we're pretty much already in season. Even though it officially starts in January, we're meeting, it never stops. We've been meeting with legislatures all week. They're asking a lot of questions. Everybody's trying to formulate their plan, so. I'd say work with Nicole and the team, but the sooner, and it could be just this, it could be a bunch of different individual items or one complete package of items. If we don't know, it's hard to advocate, so we need to know.
I have blindness already, I'll just have to work with someone on deafness.
Yeah,
And I have all the stats on
Okay,
blindness
that would be
already.
helpful.
I'm doing research on it, so.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of a recommendation. It seems like every month, or not every month, we hear about issues with trying to staff certain positions, and I know Nicole's doing everything she can. I know some of it's part of it's because she's constrained by the state rules, right? You have position classifications, the salary ranges and all that. So I'll have a specific answer. I was just wondering if this way we could maybe go to the legislature to try to loosen those restrictions
Or change the job classifications, I think we all agree. That definitely needs to be on your legislative proposal, and I get it, right? You're state employees, so everybody tries to fit into a bucket, but a teacher contract is very different than a 250 day a year contract that's 8 hours a day, and I do think that would require some legislation, specific legislation, and I know we're looking at that because it's frustrating and it hurts with recruiting and retaining. And but I will say, being part of the state and the teacher retirement system, I mean there is no better state to be a teacher in. But we got to treat the teachers. I mean, I remember even with Arkansas Learns, like the law basically stated that every teacher's salary would be raised to $50,000 a year minimum and get guaranteed at least a $2,000 a year raise. Well, the intention is for all teachers to get that, but it didn't include state employees and they weren't included in that raise, and people were really hurt and mad, and I was like, you should be. And we had to go back and work with getting an appropriation because the way the law is written to at least get them to where they needed to be, which is a good thing, but it still doesn't mean it's fixed. So we made some progress. We've got to add that to the list.
And I think one thing we could do is provide you all with a list of how right now everything is classified. Because like you said, it is set by the state. Office of Personnel Management, and even though we make requests, those requests are not always adhered to or responded to the way we would like, but at least you all can see where we're starting at and help advocate for those and help make those requests.
Yeah, I think that the average kid, even here, that we are educating is different than what it was 50 years ago, 70 years ago, and we have more resources in the state, like behavioral health specialists and things like that we've identified as a need. And we've identified it as a need because we contract it out, because we can't hire somebody in, right? So I think that would be really helpful if we saw all of what it is, because maybe we don't need a certain position that we once had. Maybe things have morphed and evolved and we don't need that anymore. So I think that is a great opportunity for us. I have a question of what all four of you, see as our purview of this board. What is our role? Is it advocating for all blind and deaf children throughout the state of Arkansas? Is it solely for the students on this campus? Is it to show up and approve items? Is it to show up and ask for questions and reasoning behind why we're doing what we're doing? I just want to know a clearer picture, because I think that's where some of the dissension has happened.
Sure. I think it's all of it. And I think that's up to the board to decide. So I think if you read the law, right, and then laws are funny because you have the way the law reads, you have the intent of the law, then you have people implement the law, which is why we have judges, because nobody ever agrees on a law, right? the law would say is to be the direct purview, I think, over this school, right? But I don't think it's mission creep or outside the scope to talk about these hubs and how we're making sure we support everybody. If we're the centralized location that's supposed to be the best services that we're providing in the state, and we have the experts, I think it'd be criminal not to share that knowledge and expertise across the state. And I think that needs to be part of the conversation of this board. The role of a board is to help with governance and oversight. Like, you have a superintendent that makes day-to-day decisions. The superintendent should be informing you on those day-to-day operations and decisions. If there's questions or things that are happening, it is well within this purview of this board to ask questions, because that's why we need you. You're appointed to this board to be representatives of different parts of the community and the different students that the student body represents, and you're their advocates, you're their face, and you should be free to ask questions, and if we can't answer them, it's okay for us to say, we need to table that. I don't know the answer,
Right.
but we can come back and get you the information or the right data, or have a better discussion. The priority of this board is this facility, right? It's this school, but I think it's within their purview to take care of all of our students as well. And I don't, Nicole, I'll let you add to that.
I would love that. I think we bring, this board as a whole, brings a really unique perspective. Every person on this board works with these students, or is a member of the community, or has worked here previously, or has some tie in some way. And so I think you bring a lot of knowledge and expertise. And I do think that bringing I love the idea. I had not thought of having a legislative priorities workshop, but I think that's an excellent place for us to start that conversation. I do think that's probably going to be separate from our conversation where we wanted to discuss.
Yeah, it probably needs to be a workshop. They may
Yes.
need to come and vote on it
Yes,
when
I
you're
think
done,
so.
right?
Yeah, I
Like,
think
as
we
a
workshop
body,
it
you all
and-
stand behind it, but like, you need to take like a couple hours, you know, like,
Yes.
you have a business meeting, right? Like, this is a business meeting. Typically, business meetings are more formal, right? You may have a student spotlight, but you're gonna have action items, you're gonna have consent items, you may have some board discussion, but it's a business meeting. I think, and Nicole and I've talked about this, you also need to schedule workshops that are still publicly noticed, right? You can't have meetings without letting people know you're gonna meet, but it's not as formal. Maybe it's in a round table and it's collaborative, where we're just talking about brainstorming the next quarter, the next 6 months, the next year, the next legislative priorities, and let's get all that. Some of that may come to a board meeting, but we need to make sure we're creating a space where you feel comfortable sharing your voice and your opinions as well. And if that's not happening, we want to help do that.
Absolutely.
Right? We don't want anybody to feel like that they're not a valuable member of this team. It takes all of us working together. We're not always going to agree, right? But at the end of the day, when the board votes and takes action, we need to be a united front to the community. And I mean, I work with the board too. I wish I could tell you every vote was unanimous. It's not. We have some contentious votes that are split by one. And at the end of the day, we're still gonna be arm in arm and love each other, even though we may have disagreed, because we're one board and we're trying to implement the purview and the mission of this state, the priorities of the legislator and the governor, and most important, do what's right for students. And I'm not gonna tell you I'm the expert. Nicole's not the expert. None of us are experts. Collaboratively, we're all experts in education and in parenting. We all have kids, and we know it's right, and we need to do it better. We cannot do this alone. And if that's the way it feels, like, today's a new day. It's a new year. We're going to get this organized. We're going to get it right.
I think that brings me, oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt someone? Okay. I think that brings me to the next part of this workshop component. I think it's really important. We were kind of going through today our schedule of how we're going to approach board meetings moving forward as a collective, as leadership. And I think it's so important that when we get to what is the third week, so it would be 2 weeks before we have our board meetings, I would really like to schedule times. It can be Teams meetings, phone calls. I know that most of you I speak to almost on a weekly basis, but it's so important that we have a chance to sit down and have a conversation. It can be, I don't care if it's 10 o'clock at night, it really doesn't matter to me, but being able to run through things with you and get your priorities and your thoughts about things are gonna be so important. So I know in previous years, and up to this point, because I'm learning too, that we kind of just sent an agenda and said, like, do you have anything else to add? But I think it's going to be really important moving forward that we have some solid conversation about what are our priorities, what are our points for next month, what is important to you to discuss. I've got a couple of fun things for us to talk about today, which I'm excited about, but it's not just going to be about the fun things, it's going to be about the hard things too. And so having a chance to set that up and sit down with you individually and have those conversations is going to enable me to do a better job with bringing you things that you value, that are important to you.
Yeah, and as you're coming up with items, you know, like simple examples, you may be reviewing, I don't know, a code of conduct, right? Like this board needs to have influence of the code of conduct. But when you approve the code of conduct, you got to rely on Nicole and her team to implement it. You know what I mean? Like you can't start calling her and questioning why they made the decisions they did if they're following the board's code of conduct, right? Like that's getting into operations. But having the conversation around what constitutes a violation of the code of conduct, y'all need to figure out, or dismissal procedure, I don't even know, whatever roles and procedures schools have. When we establish that as a board, we got to empower the team to do it. If the team's not doing the intent, then we need to have a different conversation. But that's why you hire principals and lead teachers and campus folks, is to implement the priorities of this board. And that's why it's really important, and we're talking about having workshops to say, hey, I think we need to talk about this. I don't know what it is. I always like to say, and I'm not an expert in anything, but I've learned, I've worked with a lot of boards before. But like, I think a perfect example is y'all are building a new school. I almost pointed that way, but it's over there. I got flipped around trying to find, you guys are hiding from me today. We're building a new school. Nicole doesn't need to tell you how many pieces of 2x4s they ordered and how many screws they're sticking in the wall today and how many gallons of paint are going on the wall. But I think y'all should know how many stories it is, how many classrooms there's going to be, where's the office, what's it going to look like. Like we've got to keep you informed. We're building a school. These are the big decisions. These are the big priorities. These are the things that are happening. When you get into the weeds of building a school, we don't need to know how many tiles they're laying on the floor. That's too far. That's too far. So sometimes it's hard for boards to understand that because they want to make all the decisions about the number of tiles they're putting on the floor versus kind of the overall way we're going to support students in a building. So it's work. We're never always going to have it right, but that's why we meet. That's why we collaborate. And I want to be a part of this. I can't make every meeting, but I try to get involved as much as I can. I think we have more meetings here tomorrow and try to get in schools, and we have to do what's right for students. I know just me personally, I've spent a lot of time in the last 2 years in F districts and F schools, and it's sad. It's sad, and we're fixing it. We're going to be announcing some schools that went from an F to a B or a D to an A this past school year because of our focus, our persistency, and our diligence to get it right. So we can get there, Philip.
Yep, no, I couldn't agree more. I think we just want to make sure we have a clear sense of direction and our voice is heard. I think we've gotten caught up in the last 2 meetings on what we can't do, and it just made us all, I'll speak for myself, it's made us all a little wary about next steps moving forward because we're told we can't do that. Okay, well, we thought we could do this, and yeah, I couldn't agree more what you said about the law. You have the intent, the message, and what actually means. And I want to get into a whole legal lawyer stuff, so I'm glad with those. I think that's part of what the issues we've had this past summer. It's like, okay, well, what are we doing here then? But so I appreciate you being here, listening to us, and we would love to keep collaborating with you. It means a lot to you.
And if something's coming up, let us know, right? Like you don't need to get your volunteer members on this board. The last thing you should be doing is losing sleep or saying the last place I want to go to tonight is this board meeting because it's awkward. Like if that's happening, we got a problem. Let's just be honest. And this should be a place where there's hard work It's rewarding work, but it's appreciated and deserving work. And you talk about what can be decided, what can be decided. I'm up for discussion on anything. I don't hide from anything, right? Now, we may not be able to take action on everything, but if the board decides they want to have a discussion, I think that's great. I still feel strongly that when you're in this format, it's a business meeting. And when you come to this meeting in this dais and you call a meeting to order, you should stick to the agenda. Now, there are times that an emergency item may have to be added because you notice an agenda to the public 5 days in advance, whatever it is, you need to stick to that agenda. That's only fair to the public. If you start adding things that aren't on the agenda, then it's not fair because some people may want to bring in public comment on that. So I feel strongly about creating a space where you can have workshops together to determine what goes on the agenda and have that conversation. And I think that's where things get wonky because people are wanting this to be a business meeting, but other people are wanting it to be a workshop, and we're trying to make the same meeting serve two purposes. Let's bifurcate that, right? Let's just be clear. What you're bringing up today, that's a great workshop item, but today we're sticking chair to the agenda, right? Like that's where the chair needs to come in and make sure they stick to the agenda because that's what the public is expecting you to discuss. But as far as topics, questions, and concerns, everything's on the table. Nicole, I don't want to speak for you, but
No, absolutely.
if we can't answer it, then we
got a
got to ask
problem.
why we're doing it.
That's right, absolutely.
And so, but you need a space to ask those questions. Sometimes a business meeting's not that space. I'm taking up way too much time.
No, I think you perfectly identified the gap in that, you know, we might get the board agenda 2 days before the board meeting, and by then there's not really an opportunity. It's already been approved by ADE. You can't add or take away from it or anything like that yet. So I do think your plan is going to help.
Well, and to
mediate that.
Nicole's defense, some of that could be our agency's fault. Like, we're not perfect. Sometimes things get sent to us and it's like a black hole and it gets added to a list. So if you're not getting meeting notices till like 2 days from then, that's not appropriate either. And I need to know that. And we need to make sure our folks, and I think that's why you have two new faces here
Yes.
that are gonna make sure that doesn't happen. Because this is that important to us that we're literally assigning staff and making this a primary function of their job to make sure that's not happening, because we know it is. And I'm defending Nicole because she'll send us stuff and it may not be getting to where it needed to be, which is why we have two brand new faces, because that's how important this is.
And I will speak to, and I don't know Allie or Caitlin that well, I've just met them this last week, but from all the things that we've experienced in the meetings that we've had and the conversations we've had, I do have full and complete confidence that we're gonna have a great working relationship. They are very personable people. They, like we said, we're gonna give you their phone numbers and their email addresses.
Yeah.
Please contact them. CC me in it so we can have a conversation and I can get back with you. I don't want this to be a secret, and I want to go ahead and just say, like, truly it has been 2 years of fighting fires, and I think that's been a lot of it too. And I'm hoping that this start of this new school year, it feels different this year. We have fixed all the big gaping giant black holes and put processes and policies in place. Doesn't mean they're perfect or they're right or the work is done, but I think now we're able to kind of step forward and start really honing in on that stuff and get some more streamlined processes in place that allow you guys to be more heavily involved. And I think that's important. So.
Okay, I have 4 opportunities, four sets of ears here.
Oh. I know what you're gonna say.
What about that empty parent rep over there? You know, that's one of those that may have fallen in the black hole.
Yeah, well, I know that's not under our agency's purview, so there is boards and commissions. I know some folks have applied previously, but if they weren't appointed, then we need more applications. So I need your help with that.
So how do we help you with that?
Give us names to submit, have them directly apply. Like, we can send you the link.
Do we post that to open it up to
I think we could.
all the parents?
I can add it to Parent Square.
I think we can. I don't want to sound like I'm the expert on the board and commissions, but I believe they have a website where anybody can go in and apply to be on a certain board or commission.
You're right.
So,
It's a very cumbersome application
Yeah.
process. But you absolutely can. So I think if we could
We
send
need
out
to
a
share it.
direct link,
Yeah, we
that
need
would be
help.
great.
We need names. So let's get it filled.
Great.
We need names.
We can help with
I
that.
will have that posted to
And
Parent
maybe
Square by
even
the
go
end
into
of
a
the week.
newsletter. Like literally, let's put the link in a newsletter. And we want to, it's important. We have to get this right.
Okay, great, absolutely. I can make that happen.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I think that's where, again, Ally will be able to help communicate, each month when she comes to the meeting, like, that things are maybe not are within our control or purview, but she is going to be a constant, repetitive reminder to those who are making those decisions, like, this is something that's still needed, and can update you all that, yes, we've submitted, some things weren't decided, but let's try again, so she can also help keep you all updated on that.
Yeah, no, I'll say one last thing. No, I'm honored to be on this board. Building this new school is going to be such an example, not only in the state, but across the country. Now, look, and I just want to make sure we, as a board, we want to make sure we don't have to revisit this issue 20 years, 30 years, 4 years from now, when we have to read in the news that, Grays fell, or they have to build a new building or something like that. So I think we're all committed to not only the short term, but long-term success. The next you talk about generations. We want the next 6 generations to be able to go to this school.
Yeah, I think we're on the beginning of a new legacy. And it's probably the most exciting time for the school, probably within the last 100 years.
I keep using the word legacy. This is a legacy project, and our school as a whole is a legacy project. Everything we do, we have to be thinking about the next generation and who comes next. And our pre-Kers that are just turned in 3 and are entering our school yesterday on the day after their 3rd birthday, are going to be adults, and who are they going to be, and what is their career path going to look like? And so everything we do needs to have that thought process in mind of what is the end goal. And so everything we do is a legacy.
So one last thing, I'll just kind of kick the hornet's nest, because I think there was questions at a meeting about what's appropriately discussed in executive session and what's not. So I don't know, is that still a wound that needs to be healed, or am I opening? Am I kicking a hornet's nest that I should have just left alone? Or everybody's smiling, so I think Courtney, this is where I put you on the spot. I'm gonna let Courtney answer that, because so I just want to make sure I understand, because I think the question, and I don't want to speak out of line, was what could be discussed in executive session that stays in executive session, or what can be shared in the public? I'm not sure if I understood what the issue was.
We were talking about executive session as it pertains to the superintendent's evaluation. And we were told that we could not go into executive session to evaluate the superintendent, and then we were told that if we did go into executive session, that we would receive misdemeanors for an action that should be in executive session. I wouldn't want somebody evaluating me in front of the whole world. That's not cool.
Do you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, so, and I may rely on Caitlin a little bit too, and that's where it is difficult, because again, you all are in the law referred to as like a board, but you are a state agency. And so we ask for your evaluation of the superintendent. But under the law, it says you can only go into executive session to discuss the continued hiring or firing, I think, or discipline of the superintendent. And so an evaluation is not typically considered one of those items. I will tell you that Caitlin and the rest of our legal staff, they represent you all, and they're going to provide you the best guidance that they can. We also consult with the Attorney General's office, because if there was any type of lawsuit or alleged criminal conduct, the Attorney General's office would end up representing you. And so a lot of the times our legal staff will consult with them for their advice, and then we end up just being the one to convey that. But in that situation, it's one of those where it's difficult, because the legal team is trying to advise you in what the law says. And legally, it does say that you can only go into executive session, again, to discuss the continued employment. Do you have the exact language pulled up? But I didn't, sorry, I don't have it pulled up.
It's hire, fire,
Is it hire,
promotion,
fire?
it's hire, fire, promotion, demotion.
Thank you. Hire, fire, promotion, or demotion. And so, from a legal standpoint, an evaluation is not considered part of that. Something that we discussed after the fact was that maybe instead of you all discussing it as a board, maybe I can meet with you all individually, because again, if it's not an executive session, you all can't be discussing something and without a public meeting. So maybe it would be better if I met with you all individually and got that kind of feedback. That was a little bit of a bumpy process where we were learning as well, and working with new kind of advice from legal counsel, but we will figure it out. Going forward, if you have any questions like that, again, in the future, Caitlin is going to be your go-to. If Caitlin doesn't know, she's going to consult with our chief counsel and with me. I'm chief of staff, but I was chief counsel, so I know a little bit about the law. And we'll help walk you through that. And we will make sure that we are staying more involved with you and that we're here walking you through that and explaining the reasons why, and maybe not just giving statements that can come across a little harshly, so.
And I want to make sure you know that we want your feedback,
Yes, we
right? Like, this
absolutely want
isn't
your
done in
feedback.
an isolation. Nicole wants your feedback. This is how we get better. We want to get better. And I wasn't at the meeting, but it may not have been conveyed as well as the intent was, which is why we want to just clarify that.
Lawyers sometimes are just difficult.
No, that's very helpful, because I mean, that's really all we want is, we know, especially Arkansas state law, there's a lot of gray areas, and I think we really appreciate that. Yeah, I think we want somebody to come tell us by perform, or at a meeting, what misdemeanor, like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I want to be on the board anymore. Right.
So just for clarity's sake, since we are not a board who hires, fires, promotes, or demotes anyone, unless we can make a recommendation to you, Mr. Secretary, to fire, hire, or demote, then there's no other reason, there's no other causation for us to go to. So no, if we are brought with, there was an incident last year, a personnel issue, hit the news, all the things, there's no reason for the board to go to executive session to discuss that person's performance or anything.
And unfortunately, no, under the law, that you're not permitted to do that.
Okay, so.
But if you want to change the law, y'all can come together and write a list. Like I said, it's not perfect, right? Like, if that's, this is why I said you may want to make some legislative priorities, because if you feel like there needs to be a separate thing that you're allowed to provide evaluations, write that recommendation. Like, if we don't know it's an issue, we don't know to ask, and that helps us. Like, I think that's just something you need to ask if that's what you want to do.
I think that the argument was that how will we know if we wanted to promote, demote, or fire someone if we couldn't freely evaluate them? That's what the
right.
That's what the
well,
the
I think that,
overarching
yeah, and I
was.
think that's easier if they call it one of the 7 deadly sins. Like, hopefully that never happens, Nicole. No, the 7 deadly sins. But if one of those things happened, it makes it really easy to come together for a meeting to say somebody was arrested for such and such, such, such. As a board, we want to recommend termination. If it's performance-based, I think that's why Courtney's saying, let's meet, because we want to get better, right? Like, the role of teaching and learning is to improve outcomes. And if somebody feels like there's some performance opportunities, then we need to know about it to get better. But then if we're seeing as an agency, hey, we're not meeting our performance goals, then we may be conveying that to the board and saying, we have some concerns we think you should meet. And we've done that with other boards.
Anything else? Oh, sorry, Counselor.
I don't want to. I feel like that was doom and gloom. I want to highlight. I want to end on a high note.
I got good stuff.
Okay, well, it just seems so serious, right? Like this should be a bright spot, and I just want to go back and say I really do appreciate everybody in this room. Everybody here is making us better. I know we're not perfect, but I know deep in my heart and deep in everybody's heart around this table and in this auditorium, we're all here because we care, and we all have ideas on how we can improve. So let's work together. We cannot work against each other. We have to be a united front. We may disagree with how we get there, but at the end of the day, I know what we're doing every day on this campus is what's better for students. I know we're excited about our new faces at our agency here to support you. And I know that this school year, I mean, last school year was amazing, but I'm telling everybody 26, 27 is the school year that Netflix is gonna make a movie about in the state of Arkansas, because it's gonna be incredible. And y'all are gonna have a big part of that story. So thank you.
That's okay. Well, I got good stuff now, so
I'm gonna let y'all go. We gotta get to our next spot.
bye, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.
I want to thank Secretary Oliva for his presence
you.
today.
Okay, so Board Member of the Month. Who is our September Board Member of the Month?
I vote
Would we,
I vote it should be our vice chairperson.
Vice Chairperson?
I
Can we
think
get a
Bob
thumbs
played
up?
it.
Okay, Jerry Ballou, you are because it's not really an action item, so we'll just go with, Jerry's going to be our September Board Member of the Month. All right. So, Mr. Ballou, Tiffany will be getting with you to coordinate a day to come and meet with our students and have lunch with them and get your student spotlight ready for next month's Students of the Month. Awesome. Okay, event update. So last month we gave you a giant events calendar. There is one thing that's added to it. In September, we are coordinating the Leopard Spike Out. That is our volleyball and football weekend.
Okay.
We would love for you guys to be participants of that. We need ticket takers. We need concession stand helpers. We need all kinds of good stuff. So if you can commit to sometime the 11th and the 12th of September, we would greatly appreciate that. If you've been able to look at the calendar and the schedule and see what couple of events you might want to participate in or plan for, please coordinate with Tiffany or Betty so that we can get you on the list, and I can make sure we send you reminders and get you scheduled for a volunteer activity while you're here. Okay, awesome. The bullying report, let me pull that up. And I apologize, it's been revised several times, so I have to open it and read it. So our annual bullying report, this is provided to you each year at the beginning of the school year. And what it basically does is it breaks down, this is our first year having a joint one because it's the first time we've had a joint one because it's from last year. It breaks down incidences of bullying as they are reported and investigated. So for last year in the blind department, we had 3 substantiated incidents. And in the deaf department, we had 1, obviously making our total 4. And of those events that were found to be reported, then investigated, 1 was verbal and social harassment, 1 was cyberbullying, 1 was verbal intimidation, and the other was harassment and intimidation. And for those, we've provided some intervention, we followed our discipline matrix. For a couple of the opportunities, we provided social and emotional education as it related to that. And then for one of them, we did conduct some staff training to ensure that staff were comfortable resolving and intervening. That was a big thing, was that the staff member had seen it but didn't know what to do, how to handle it, so they called for help, which is fine. But we wanted to make sure we empowered them to also feel comfortable to help resolve the issue in the moment. And so that is the bullying report. Do you have any questions? I know it's brief, but that's a good thing.
Do you feel like the Roar store has been a good
I think
positive behavior?
I think PBIS has been incredible. I know that I've heard from staff members that they really appreciate it and they enjoy having the opportunity to take kids to the Roar store. I look forward to it being even more robust. We've started last year, Adam Goyne, our Dean of Students, was between both schools, and I think that was really positive to help initiate that PBIS. Both principals have committed to the ROAR expectations, and those are all over the school, and it's becoming part of our common language, which I'm really excited about. And so I do think that those things help. Now, in instances of bullying, that is defined as intentional, consistent harassment of a single person or group of people. and in that situation. And for these, it's not listed in here, but 3 of these incidents were completed by the same child. And so with that, that particular child is receiving specific services for their needs. So that is just something to know. But great question, thank you. Anything else? Okay, moving on. The next thing is our t-shirt options. So one of the things that we are really excited about, as part of our moving forward and our vision, is we really need some swag. We need to be able to present ourselves in a way that makes sense, that people know who we are, that they recognize our logo or our name and say, I know where that is, that's on Markham. I can't tell you how many times I run into people, and when I tell them where I work, they go, oh, my cousin went to school there, or my aunt used to work there. And I say, oh, okay, and they're like, wait, where is that? Or how do I find you? And so being able to have some things out there that we hand out at UALR's job fair or UCA's job fair, or when we go to high schools and meet with people to kind of talk to them about these places as jobs for later, because we have to get into the high schools as well. And also just for our staff, because sometimes wearing a t-shirt out in public, someone's going to ask you a question about it. And so those are things that I think are valuable input from you. I didn't want to just pick stuff out of the air that I like, because it's not just about me, it's about all of you. So I'd love your input. And if you have better ideas than what we have presented, we are all ears. These are just preliminary. Oh, maybe. It sat too long. Hold on, sorry. That's interesting. It's showing as the presentation on my screen and as the presenter notes on the other one. I don't know how to fix that. Patrick, can I get some help? William? It's showing the presenter mode on the smartboard and as the presentation on my laptop. We can carry on. It's okay. So see if we can figure it out. Okay. So our first swag idea, things that have been pitched and things that we have historically shown are popular and that our staff like as well, but we are so open to ideas, are some water bottles or cups, pins, like lapel pins that people wear on with their suits, and writing pins / highlighters. Hand sanitizer's been really popular, things of that nature. Any ideas, thoughts, feelings? What things do you like when you go out there in the world, and what would be a great way to represent our school? What would make you excited?
I know my husband's a coach, and we've got some coaches here, and I know they love a good hat.
Love a good hat, like a baseball cap hat? Yeah, I like that, okay.
And a collar polo shirt for
We-
adults who don't,
Thank you for that. Awesome, thank you. We are working on that, actually. I have tasked. Breathe, William. Okay, so we are working on a way for staff, because I've had several staff say, man, if I could order 5 polos with the logo on them every single day and wear a pair of khakis, that's what I'd do. So the development team is working on a school store right now where they can go on there and order. It's kind of print on demand situation, but they're embroidered. So you can order any shirt that you'd like with the logo on it, polo, button down long sleeve, zip up jackets. But this is more for those like freebie things that we hand out to staff and new staff and things like that. So we're going, definitely the shirts for sure, but this is more like those freebie things that we get a new staff member, we take a picture.
What about a keychain?
Keychains, like what kind?
Well, like, I know that a lot of the kids at the School for the Blind like to have a keychain identifier on their cane.
Ooh, okay.
So something.
We could make them tactile too.
That would be really
Okay.
neat.
Are you thinking like logo? Are you thinking just something that says like, I love Braille, I love ASL, and I love U-Hand, Braille something?
Oh.
All of
He
it?
wants it all.
Options, how about that? We'll just put some options. Okay, sounds good. I love that idea. Anything else?
I like those pens you gave us. I know the students made those, right?
The pins for our pen project? Yes.
Can y'all can they make more?
Yes.
I mean, I think it adds more to the story.
I think,
Because I haven't lost that
if you
pen.
look out in the audience, probably Miss Lori Cole would be like doing a little dance, because the pen project is something that is near and dear to her heart. So yes, you lost your pen? I'll get you another one. I got another one.
I'm saying, that's the one pen I have not lost.
Oh, it's the one you have
Because I
not
think it's
lost.
cool.
We
so.
have a phrase around here, it's called pentegrity. You have integrity with people's pens, and you don't steal them because, and it has become common verbiage around here because people have very big feelings about pens, so make sure you're having pentegrity. Okay, anything else? This is a great. Like sticky notes, or, because we do have like greeting cards or like thank you notes that when I get a donation, I handwrite a thank you note and we send that. Speaking of which, now that just came to me, would you guys like the opportunity to sign those thank you notes? Should I bring those to board meetings? Would that be something you'd like to do? Yeah? Okay, cool. Sounds like a plan. I will happily do that. So you think like sticky notes, things like that?
Or what about a guide, like a?
Oh, like a signature guide? Mm-hmm. We can get our East folks to print some of those for us. Cool. Anything else? No, not really? Okay. Okay. Stickers. So, stickers are a big deal around here. Oh, hi. Level up in Copilot. So, people love a good sticker to put on their laptop, to put on all kinds of things. So we have some options that were drafted by our development team. The first one, Rob, is a circle. I think all of them are circles. And it is finger-spelled ARDB in hand shapes with the print underneath it and then the braille underneath that. And then the next one is a square yellow. Oh, the first one was blue, I apologize, and black. The second one is square, and it is gold and black. Same thing, hand shapes, print, and braille. Then we have a circular blue one with a paw print to go with our lions and leopards, with ARDB in each of the 4 paws. I think that's actually a puppy paw when there's 4, right? I don't know either. It just occurred to me, I think that's a puppy paw.
I'll take it back to
We'll
development.
figure it out. Yes. And then with the hashtag Better Together on the bottom. Oh, I know what that is. The next one is the same thing, ARDB inside the puppy paw inside the lion or leopard paw, with a QR code actually inside of it so that someone could scan it and it'll take them to our website.
That's a good one.
We like that idea, okay.
I like the QR code idea is what I'm saying.
The QR code idea, yep, okay. Not necessarily the sticker, but.
Like it,
Yes.
when you're working a booth.
That's great. I like that too. This is a similar thing. This is our outside of our logo. So Arkansas School for the Deaf and Blind in 1849 and 1859. And then there is a QR code paw print in the middle that, again, will take you to our website. So we like the QR code idea. Do we like this sticker better than the last sticker? Or we like just giant QR codes?
I'm not good at any of this, but I like the idea if you're going to a job recruitment type place or like a job fair. I think that's a great idea.
Okay. Yes. I am very sorry. Is that any better? Sitting too far away. Okay, apologize.
But I also like the idea of having QR codes on all the other things too that we might be handing out.
I don't think that's a bad idea. People love a good QR code.
Yeah.
If we stick a QR code on lots of things, then it
think-
brings people to our website.
Our websites have changed too, many
Yes.
times over the last few years, so.
Yes. Have you seen our new updated website?
I looked at it just the other day. I was excited about it.
It's beautiful. Our development team, if you haven't had a chance to go to ardb.ade.arkansas.gov, which is the longest name on the planet, it is gorgeous. Our development team worked really closely with the IT team at State Services because we don't get to design those. They kind of tell us what we can and can't put on there. But our development team are bulldogs, and they said, no, it needs to look beautiful, not just like a state website. And so it's gorgeous. It's got rotating pictures of our new building and all of our easy access inquiry things and stuff of that nature, so it's really exciting. This sticker is square or rectangle and black, and it has block letters, like kind of varsity block letters, ARDB, with a blue and gold paw in the center. And then, of course, just our logo. And that is it for stickers. But I think we like the idea of QR codes on stuff overall. Oh, excuse me. Boop. Where did it go? There we go. Okay. And some shirt ideas. So these are t-shirts, like spirit shirt ideas. I think what it would be great for us to be able to offer options to teachers and hand out some t-shirts is what I would like to be able to do. So we have all kind of like all on Friday we're wearing the same spirit wear to represent. So we have that ARDB with the hand shapes, the print and the braille and a blue shirt, and it can be put on any color shirt. Then that puppy paw ARDB with hashtag better together, a black and gold version, a black and white version, ARDB inside of a different paw with claws that's blue and gold and better together, and then a black t-shirt, our giant logo, and a puppy and a paw, a leopard paw or a lion paw on the sleeve, a white version, and then we've got some options for like quarter zips and stuff as well. Do we like the giant logo on the front of the shirt? We do have many options. Do you have a favorite, Jerry?
I'd like to see more of them and to give time to kind of study each one of them. I just really don't want to respond off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
I think on those shirts, we need to put those claws at the end.
You need the claws on it? Yeah. Okay. We like this version.
Yeah. Like, if there would be able to like have something like the tactile braille on
So-
it, would that be something that we could do?
So having the braille on the bottom of it in addition to?
He said the tactile, have you seen, there's those like puffy,
Puff paint.
it's not, yeah,
I mean, you can do it
Yeah,
puppy
so you
paint,
would
but
be able to
there's
touch it, you would be able to
raised.
feel it.
I haven't seen those.
they do it a lot in like script letters,
Yeah,
but
it'll
it would be
print-
real
it'll
fun
raise-
and,
It'll raise off the shirt so that it could be big.
Yeah, because you would be able to, it would be raised on the shirt, you would be able to feel it.
Because that's always the big problem with putting braille on a t-shirt is that only the people who can see it can access it. Okay, awesome. Great feedback and thoughts. Is there anything that I just completely missed the mark on, or you're like, man, I got this thing at this place and it stuck with me, or I hung on to it for 100 years?
I know we have so many creative people on staff that.
We do.
I think you could have a t-shirt designing contest.
I want to do that for our t-shirt next year, for like the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because it takes a little bit of time, but I
Yeah.
think, man, if we could have a t-shirt contest to hand out for the end of the year, because I want to get some things in people's hands to start out with quickly, but then, yes, absolutely, t-shirt contest for sure. Yes, sir.
Well, for the gift shop, maybe. You know, at the Capitol, I don't know if y'all have ever been to the Capitol gift shop. There's Arkansas.
Arkansas?
Yes. And they do like, I have a couple of them. They have a logo, they have different stuff, but we could get a partnership with Arkansas.
And we'll take a cut of that for the playground fee.
Yes, something for many things, for all the things. I have never heard of Arkansas, but I'm fixing to find out. They're going to be getting a call from me, don't you worry.
That's a good one.
I love that. That's really cool. Okay, awesome. I also ran into a lady who makes candles that smell like Arkansas, and they were supposed to be in the Capitol gift shop, but I don't think they made it there. And I bought one that smells like the state of Arkansas, one that smells like Lake Washita, and they both smell awesome. But maybe we could get one that smells like Arkansas School for the Deaf and Blind.
I don't know about that.
maybe we just make sure it doesn't smell like middle school boys.
That's what I was about to say, not the middle schoolers.
Not middle school boys. Okay, awesome. Thank you all very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, so superintendent report, and I promise to make it brief because I know we've been here a while tonight. First and foremost, if you notice the giant squares of fencing out there along Markham Street, our perimeter fence is under construction. Woo woo. We did have to slow it down a smidge because the bridge came down and we were able to shift the fence a little further towards Markham Street so we aren't losing as much real estate, which is a good thing. So that should be recommencing next week early, and we are going to have a solid perimeter fence completed in the month of October. Hopefully the end of September, but I'm going to promise in October, maybe we'll get it sooner. All right. Biggest thing is, welcome to the new school year. We got started last week on Monday, and students kind of trickled in throughout the week, as they typically do. It's kind of how it works. We still have an armful, I think the last count was like 12 or 13 still in the queue for admissions. So I know our admissions team is working hard to get all the paperwork and things like that so we can move forward. Because if we get all the kids that are in our queue, we'll actually be higher than the number of students that we left, that left over the summer. So that is exciting. We did lose just quite a few students due to, most of them went to homeschool. Their parents are choosing to homeschool them for the EFA, which we absolutely support parent choice. We shall see. And then let's see, looking at all my notes, I'm sorry. Our welcome back registration was awesome. Thank you, Jerry and Carrie, for coming. That was great to see you guys. And thank you so much to the Blonde alumni for providing Kona Ice. The students love that every year. It's so fun. I love that, let's be real. If you notice, we did lose some teachers over the summer. That is okay. We have replaced almost all of them. The only teacher position that we currently have hanging right now is our ag teacher. I will make the plea again. If you know someone who likes chickens and to grow things, we are desperately seeking someone who wants to help us keep our ag program alive. This is our last year that our FFA chapter will be able to be held, so we have to do something. We are at the point where we're trying to consider even if we can finagle science classes and reconfigure so that we can keep that functioning. But our science teachers are very busy, so if we could hire an ag teacher, that would be preferable. If you know anybody, please let me know.
Our math department, it was shared at the end of last year, the teacher was, is that continuing?
Math department was shared at the end of the teacher. You mean between both departments?
Didn't we bus the blind kids over to the desk?
It was about 3 weeks that happened, yes. While we were trying to figure all the schedules and reconfigure, because it was in the last 3 weeks of a quarter. So if you shift people's schedules around, you lose out on credits and stuff. So that was done it was like 3 weeks in quarter 3, and then it went back to being departmentalized, deaf and blind department in quarter 4. So no is the answer to that, the short answer. We have been approved for our security team, which we're very excited about. Hopefully that will mean that we can reduce our contracted services significantly. We spent $560 some odd thousand last year on security alone, and bringing them in-house for positions that have already been allocated, that we are already budgeted for, will allow us to decrease that cost and provide services to our students. I'm hoping that next month we'll be able to introduce our new teachers to you. I think that would be a great opportunity, but I did want to give them a chance to kind of get their feet under them first. I did sit in on classes today and with both principals, and I'm very pleased to tell you that our teachers are implementing curriculum. They are teaching bell to bell. They are engaged and excited. We had 100% participation in submission of lesson plans for the first week of school this year for the first time, which is incredible. Our principals are doing an excellent job setting non-negotiables and expectations and standing by those and making sure that things are being done the way that they need to be done. As Secretary Oliva said, we've put systems in place, processes in place, and given teachers are awesome. We have phenomenal teachers here. We really do. Teachers who care about our kids and who want to do well, and they just really were fighting a broken system before, and so we're fixing the system so that they have the things they need in front of them to be able to function, and we are seeing the fruit of that this year. They are already jumped in with both feet, and we've got a new math curriculum that they're excited about, and so I look forward to coming back to you every month and telling you, man, I've been in the classroom this week and it is incredible. Something that you may not know, or maybe I've shared, I can't remember, is that our leadership team has made a commitment to sub 1 day a month this year, myself included. And that is so important to maintain our connection with our students, to keep eyes on what's going on in the classrooms, to get experience. Because if you don't live it, it's hard to know really what those problems are. And so, myself included, every one of our leadership team will be serving 1 day a month in classroom at subbing. Thankfully, I think we'll have enough staff. I think we're going to have enough. People are absent. We have a lot of sickness and illness and things, and so for me, mine is set every month at a certain time, but our other staff are able to be a little bit more flexible, and we have somebody missing today, they can go in there and do that, and I think it's going to be meaningful and powerful and impactful for our leadership team to really see that, see what's happening in our classroom and get to know our kids better too. And, yes, sure.
Sorry. The dorm supervisor, they're still working 2 shifts, the evening shift and the overnight shift, RA supervisors in the dorm. So we still have someone
Like one
working
person
overnight
working double
shift?
shifts?
Yes.
No, we don't have, we do. We have,
the overnight shift.
yes.
And then they go home.
Yes, so we do. We have, I'm sorry, I'm going to let her go ahead. We're going to have A shift, B shift, we have A shift, B shift, and C shift. A shift is our school day. B shift is 3:30 to midnight. B shift is midnight to 8:30, I think.
Yes.
C shift, sorry, thank you.
So you have
C
3
shift.
shifts. But I didn't think there were enough supervisors. Aren't you hiring 2 more?
We
to
do.
cover those
We have
second
position,
and overnight shift, the
so we have some
second shift
folks
and
who-
overnight shift?
We have some folks who are leaving soon or who have just left, and we have a position posted for them. However, with the consolidation of the dorm, there is not nearly as much need. So we are holding on that for the moment to make sure, to see exactly how much need we have. When we consolidated the dorm, we have more staff because we have the deaf and the blind in the same hall. So at least now we've got eyeballs and all kinds of adult supervision for our number of students. So we should be okay. We still have those positions posted in case we need them, and I do have one person who is working as extra help for our subbing. But nobody's working doubles.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. And one thing you do need to know, sorry to end on kind of a downer, I apologize, but I'm a big believer that bad news does not get better with age. So we received an information from the Bureau of Legislative Research. It was an oversight last year when we went from 2 schools to 1 school. Our trash contract, we had 2 separate trash contracts for under $20,000 apiece. When we came together, we needed to bid that contract out because it was going to be over $20,000. And that did not get caught until Kurt caught it a couple of months ago. It has been rectified. Thank you to him for doing that. We have now bid out the trash contract. However, the good news of this is we went from $3,900 a month for our trash service to $1,500 a month bidding through Republic, which will start September the 1st. So we are saving half as much of we went under $20,000 with our bid. I believe it's at 18 and some change by catching this mistake and rebidding out for the contract. So even though it is something that we have to write a letter just so that you are aware to the Bureau of Legislative Research what happened, why it happened, what the oversight was, and how we're going to fix it, which is already in the works. But I wanted to make you aware in case you hear anything or you see us on an agenda, you know exactly what's going on. I didn't want anybody to be caught off guard. Any questions, thoughts?
Transportation, how's that?
Ooh, good question. Transportation. So we did our very first in-house 2-route transportation on Friday, and it was a raging success. We're still waiting for our vans. Those have not been purchased yet. The process is long and arduous, but we are in the final stages. We're waiting for the secretary to sign the form, and then it gets sent to the one last person. Secretary's going to sign the form, no problem. He and I have already had a conversation, several. But then it will go to procurement, sorry. Nope, OST. Nope, somebody else. I'm sorry, I'm getting a head shake from Kurt of where it goes. Hold on, he's going to tell me where it goes. It leaves here, and after the secretary signs it, and then it gets uploaded into a system. I'm waiting. Where does it go, Kurt? It goes to the state transportation department to get approved and then to purchase off-contract vans because we need them for mobility. So I apologize because it is hairy and convoluted. And so he is working on that diligently, so we should have our new van soon, hopefully. But we drove 2 routes ourselves, which meant we cut our transportation costs in half because we already have those vans in place. We already have those humans in place. And so we were able to just take care of that, and I think it's going to be much better. We did send the transportation bid out for rebid. We only had one submission for this most recent one, and it came back at $700 and some change thousand, which was well outside of what was budgeted or should be budgeted for this situation.
Is that for 1 year?
Yes, sir. It was multi-million dollars for the duration of the 7 years.
So how many vans did we purchase?
We are going to purchase 2. So, 'cause
15 passenger?
they are, yes, sir.
Okay.
May I recognize Kurt really quick? Can you come up to the front and speak into the microphone? Sorry. He is the master on this because it's not my area of expertise.
Good evening. For the record, Kurt Swartzlander, Director of Operations. It was bid out. It came in at $750,000 and change, but we only had one responsive bidder. So we are actually rebidding it, and we are reaching out to local companies. The one that did win it was actually not a transportation company. They're a medical courier that I think the price included new vehicles for them to drive new vehicles. Sure. That's my opinion. That's not what came out of the bid, but that's my opinion based on the response. But we are rebidding it. We are reaching out, and we're hoping to be able to get much better pricing. Our former contractor just missed the bid deadline. They have assured us this time they will bid. Like I said, we're going to reach out to others. So hopefully we get a much better price, but we get our 2 vans soon as well.
And just so that everyone understands how we were able to have contracted vans or a bus and a van this last Friday, was because we can spend up to $20,000 before we have to enter a contract. So that doesn't go very far when it comes to transportation. However, it does buy us a little bit of time to try and get this resolved. And as we talked about last time about state procurement processes and contracts, it is a fun part of our job. We definitely spend a lot of time going back and forth, reviewing, having discussions and discussions about how everything kind of plays out. And at the end of the day, we really don't get to choose. It's who bids and who gets the lowest bidder. And as Kurt said, it was a medical courier, which we were surprised by. So hopefully Village will submit their bid and it will be lower than $700,000. But at the time, that was what was bid in. And so, but we are going to continue with our plan to do 2 of our routes in-house this year, with the hope that if everything goes well and the way I think it will, we'll be ready to bring all in-house next year.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a bus expert. I just wonder, can we not keep doing this? Like, yeah, it's expensive. Can we not buy the buses ourselves, staff it ourselves? Seems like
yes,
still come under $750,000 a year.
Yes. So the only reason why I don't feel comfortable jumping into all 4 right off the bat is the staffing component. I want to make sure that we can staff consistently 2 buses that are our responsibility, and then have a plan for next year. Man, if we could go to 3, we've got a system happening, we've got a person who's ready, we can hire this staff member, and we could go to 3 by the end of the year, that would be wonderful. But I think staggering it is the smart decision to ensure that we've got the people that are needed to be able to do the job. Anything else? Thank you all. I truly appreciate it. Oh, sorry.
No, so we're talking about transportation. I wonder if there a way we as a board could get like a county map and just how many, we don't need student names or anything, but I just love to see the breakdown across the whole state of what students are coming from what counties.
For us? For our students who are currently here? Yes, I can do that for you. I thought you maybe meant students out in the public schools. No, just us. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure Lamar can get us figured out for that quickly, because he does all of that route planning and stuff. The biggest kicker that we have is inevitably we have Sally, who's all the way on the Missouri border.
Could you access like Medicaid transportation? You can set it up in advance. It's free to anybody who's a Medicaid recipient.
I don't.
Through like Verida or something like
I don't know. It's something that would be a great thing for our legal team to look into, because our merger and our bill currently says that we are responsible for that transportation. But maybe that could be interpreted as long as we coordinate it. I'm not sure. That's a great question, though. Something to think about for sure. Sorry, I'm making myself a note. Okay, well, thank you all so very much. What a productive first board meeting for the 26-27 school year. And I greatly look forward to talking to you all as we move forward and move into our process. And thank you for a great start.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn the meeting.
I didn't even get a chance to say it. Thank you, Rob.
Gary seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposing?